This is a good one.
Daily Solution Podcast, Daily.
With the Daily
Solution Podcast, Daily.
we get those
Daily.
happening.
Gotta go. Daily Solution, they got the answers you're looking for. Gotta mix the problems in the flow. Got the Daily Solutions in your head.
Podcast moonshine here in the back. This podcast is illegal right now. We're in podcast prohibition and right. Explain to me.
I said I kind of felt like eating this 5 seconds ago. Ashkahn still going strong. It's going strong. Gotta download this.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Thank you guys. So my name's Ashkahn.
And I'm Graham.
And we are here in St. Louis for the Rise Float Gathering, doing some live podcasting with you. Woo!
Everyone's going crazy.
People are,
hundreds of people gathered.
You can't see it because you guys aren't here, but there's just crowds of people celebrating us and
There was a float out there.
I'm pretty sure fireworks show is going to start in our honor in a few minutes here. So we have some special guests with us here. Mark and Jennifer Gurley.
Yep, who made a big mistake naming their float center and not calling it Gurley Floats.
This is what we've been telling people. You guys had a huge opportunity. You could have had the greatest float center name out there, Gurley Floats.
It was on the list. It just didn't make it to the top.
So what did you go with? What's the name of your float center now?
Infinity Float Center.
So you can hear how that's not as good as Gurley Floats.
Actually, it's better. We found out there are 8 other Infinity Float Centers in the world.
Really?
8
7
total,
other.
so 7 other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We are currently working our way through all of them. We just floated at one recently.
You're on like an Infinity Float Center.
I was going to say,
tour.
yeah, keep doing the circle, I think.
Yeah, we're going to get a tattoo of each Infinity Float Center.
Where's the
logos?
furthest one? Which one's the furthest away
Well, I
from
think
you?
we hit the furthest one so far. We just floated in New Zealand
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
Okay.
So
That's
in
pretty
Auckland,
sick.
New Zealand.
That's about as far as you can go.
Good
Yeah.
place, yeah.
Actually, I think that is like almost the furthest you can go.
It's
pretty far.
And be on a landmass. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me pause for a
There's an
second.
announcement. All right, they're telling us we have to go pretty soon here.
I don't think they are.
But nothing can stop the Daily Solutions podcast. We're unstoppable.
Completely in 25 minutes, and then everyone has to be out of town.
That's not what I heard.
Okay.
I heard we can be here all night. Just recording podcasts.
Just sounds like a challenge.
All right, you guys have a question?
We do have a question. So we ran into a pretty unique situation really about a month ago. We kind of have a policy. We have a really big lounge in our place.
Yeah.
And we have a policy that, you know, we always welcome people in, people who are floated obviously, and then people who are just interested. We tell them, you know, even if you're not floating, come by, have a cup of tea. If you need some relaxation, just chill out. We've got tons of space, books, coloring, you know, etc. We had a client take that to the max and kind of went to the top of the spectrum. So she did float one time, and then she was very excited when I told her, well, you know, if you want to come back tomorrow and just have a cup of tea, there's no pressure to float again. She was staying in a hotel near us, near the float center that was in walking distance. So she came back the next morning and had a cup of coffee, which we don't serve. We just let them know that for some reason we had told her we had coffee in the back for the employees. So she requested a cup of coffee, was a little bit disappointed we didn't have creamer for her. Had that, and then the next day she showed up in the morning with a bowl of cereal and some milk and a backpack and some blankets, and kind of camped out in our and ate breakfast and just stayed there for hours. And then finally left, and then the next day, so she became a regular. And you know, it was the first time we had ever had a client that was just she had some issues. She had some mental issues for sure. She made it very clear to everyone she had some mental issues. And so we eventually had to tell her, leave. You cannot, we can't just have you here all the time. Sorry, you've kind of overstayed your welcome. You're no longer floating. She never floated again. And you're starting to kind of freak out my staff. You're saying some weird stuff.
She would pull towels off our towel rack that's in the hallway and go and take a nap in the back lounge. We have 2 lounges.
Yeah.
So she was like moving in.
She was
this
moving.
is-
This was what she was doing during the day
Uh-huh.
while her husband was working. And she had some mental issues that she was working through. But we had to get her out. I had to actually tell her, listen, if you don't walk home or to a hospital, I have to call the police and get you out. What I'm wondering, this all goes to my question, my lighthearted, very high, you know, easy answerable question. Have you guys ever had that situation in Portland And how have you instructed your employees to handle a person who just won't leave or who is acting irrationally?
Yeah, I'd say I've experienced that a little bit before, you know?
I don't know what he's talking about. I come by every day. I eat my cereal very politely in the corner.
I'm still trying to get Ashkahn off this podcast, so
I brought my own blankets, all right? Like, so this is interesting, right? Because we just gave a talk like a few hours ago, specifically about like being open and people won't take advantage of you and stuff like that.
Well, less often than you think.
Less often than you think.
Not that they'll never do it.
And the reality is that like the world's just not a black and white place. There's no way to make policies that cover every situation. There's no way to really protect yourself from all the random crazy things that can happen in the world. And like even if you were to have like a really strict, like you can't be in our center unless you have an appointment, you're probably still going to have some situation that's going to break your rules in the future. And you know, at the end of the day, I think what you guys clearly realize through this process is that sometimes you just have to deal with those edge cases on a case-by-case basis, right? Like the world's just a big, complicated place, and no matter what you do, there's always going to be someone who breaks your system, and you're going to have to deal with it personally. And we totally have had to deal with this.
Oh, yeah.
We're the same thing. We're super open. Come hang out. We're very welcoming.
And
we're open 24 hours a day. Like that. That adds a whole other layer to it.
Yeah. So if people want to come in the nighttime, for example, and for a while we did internships just around the clock. You know, so if you want to come and intern
Anytime
from 10 p.m. until like 6 a.m., you could be in during that time period, and that's a lot of people who just want rest and, you know, don't have a place to go home to at all necessarily, you know.
We were very welcoming and we were very
we've had people sleep on our couches and all kinds of different behavior that you wouldn't hope for from someone who you're actually trying to bring in to, you know, do a good service to or just be nice to, and, you know.
And like even, you know, I do think it's important to point out that even with the story you guys are saying and the story we're saying, like these are still pretty rare cases, right? Like, has it happened to you more than that one time?
We've been open a little over a year. It's the first and only time.
And we've been open like over 7 years now, and I can count the number of times we've had this issue on one hand. So it's nice to know that even if you are totally opening yourself up to these sorts of things, like the amount of times that it really in the real life actually comes to like bite you in the ass is it's not like every day there's some other person being like, I'm gonna live in this corner, like I prefer oatmeal to cereal.
And if there is, and that's like a really good, it's like, okay, no, our policy is broken, right? Not just the world's a fundamentally chaotic place. Which, yeah, as long as the examples are like less than, you know, 0.01% of people coming through or something like that, I always kind of view just, yeah, the world is what's chaotic and crazy, you know, not the the laws that you're laying down. Yeah.
And your real question is, what do you do in these situations, right? And
well, I would say two things. What do you do, and do you guys empower the employees to do that, or is it they call an owner to come handle?
Also, yes, if they want to, right?
If they want. Okay.
We empower them to do both, right? It's like, hey, you get like even our shop manager, I guess this is a good example of that, but being in charge of the shop, I mean, even when we have meetings, like high-level meetings about what's going to happen in the shop, we usually end by saying, and it's your call. Not like it's our call and you have to implement it, but like you're the one running it, it's up to you. And all of our staff, when they're in the shop, we try to say, it's your shop when you're in here. Like, you have final say. You don't need to ask us for permission. Like, we hired you because we trust you, right? And so absolutely we give them permission, but sometimes that means...
It's like, sometimes they just don't want to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I like to view us and even the manager of our shop almost more like a safety net than anything else. So, like, our employees, I hope, and this is the message we try to put out to them, they feel comfortable knowing that, like, if they wanted to, and what you guys did, I think, is exactly what you need to do. You just need to go up and be like, listen, I'm really sorry, like, you just can't come around here anymore, like, we have to run our business. And most of the time, people are pretty receptive to that, you know?
She was.
Yeah, and when we had the issue with our people, like, they also, like, as soon as we had that conversation, that was it. Like, the problem was solved, you know? And like, if our employees feel comfortable doing that and they want to do that, they don't have to ask us, they know they can. But sometimes they just don't want to, right? That's not like an easy or fun conversation to have. And in those cases, they know they can just push it off onto us. They can be like, listen, it's making it hard for me to work here. I'm not sure I feel comfortable having this conversation with them. Do you mind coming in and doing it? And that's kind of what we view our position, or our manager's position, as we're like, yeah, we'll do like the dirty work if you want us to. Like, that's what we're here for. But definitely don't feel like you can't make the call to make it happen if it's bothering you.
Cool. Yeah, or that there's anything wrong with your policy. Like, I would say nothing's broken about your policy. And even, again, like Ashkahn said, if you had the strictest policy, you'd still hit weird problems in edge cases. So,
I mean,
And
there's some
I was going to say, like you guys mentioned earlier about policies in the discussion, we've always had this policy, and actually very few people have taken us up on it.
Right.
Oh,
But
yeah.
eyebrows raise when we tell them, yeah, you don't have to float. Just come in and have a cup of tea and
Right.
hang out and talk a little bit. I think that endears a lot of people to the center that end up coming and floating and then walking out, leaving. You know,
It's
so.
it's a cool thing, you know.
Yeah.
And it's there's a few
A lot
like
of mutual chillitude, you know?
Right.
it's worth noting that there's a few, like if you're in a situation like this and things get a little bit more extreme, like there are certain things you should know. Like you should never make physical contact with
Yep.
people. You should call the police. Like, you know, when you should just kind of keep those things in mind, and we let our employees know about those things too, so that if push comes to shove and they're in a more serious situation, they know not to like physically remove someone from our shop, or you know, there's of course a few of the extreme. Kind
And you
of
can
measures.
actually have like people come in and do like if your staff gets big enough, or if you guys are ever just out of it, kind of like we are from our shop, you can do things like escalation training and stuff like that too, where people will come in and actually teach your staff the both legal and like probably emotionally best way to deal with situations like this, and how to get people to leave on their own without any physical contact, and hopefully without calling the police and things like that too. So
We also will tell our employees to just make up store policies if it's ever helpful for them. So they can just be like, actually, it's our company policy that you can only hang out 3 days in a row. Like, I'm really sorry. Those are just the
great
rules.
idea.
You know?
I love it.
So we're just like, yeah, blame it on us. Make up policies. Like, if it's ever useful to you, totally just claim
I'd
store
let you
policy.
stay, but yeah, our owners are real bastards. Like,
They're tough cookies. Like,
That's a
That's
great
perfect.
idea.
Done.
Yeah, absolutely.
right.
Problem solved.
perfect. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys so
Yeah,
much
thanks
for
for
hopping on the
podcast.
podcast.
Yeah,
Absolutely love it.
Thank
Keep it
you.
going.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And for the rest of you out there, if you have any podcast questions yourself, just fold $1,000 into an envelope, ship it off to 4530 Southeast Hawthorne Boulevard
Yeah.
in Portland,
Yeah,
and
we'll consider it.
Yeah, we'll think about it. That's how you maybe
That's how
get
you
your
get our
question on
attention.
here. Yeah,
That's how we'll
yeah,
even
it's the
read your
beginning of a
question.
relationship.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.